Oh.
Good morning. Good morning. Let me shut this door.
Good morning. Hey, I think we are. All right, I think everything's good.
Good. Well, happy Thursday. Coming out of the boot camp this week, our podcast is really fitting. How to price yourself without fear. So we've been talking about marketing yourself all week long, how to get comfortable with sales, how to get comfortable with what you're offering. We added to yesterday. And so today we're talking just how to price yourself without fear. Um, our goal is really to help you build confidence around pricing, to understand the value you actually bring. And we have a free guide that we'll post during as we go today. And that's really to help you create simple packages that you can start using. I know for me, a big hangup was I didn't want to just quote them. I wanted like pretty packages for my website. It's like I'm female or something. But so if you want pretty stuff, we'll show you how to do that. So if it feels terrifying, you're not alone. This is like the number one hang up. And I know when I've shared this so many times. I think I looked at hundreds, like as many bookkeeping websites as I could possibly find to try to figure out how they were quoting. Um, and they're all over the place. In fact, I was talking to a potential client last night, and she was talking to Collective and Finally and looking at all kinds of, other bookkeepers. And she's like, the pricing is all over the map. And at the end of the day, if you know what your cost is to complete the bookkeeping, you can more confidently quote in their budget because you know what you can include and not include. Um, and so we don't want to freeze and we don't want to undercharge. We really do not want to undercharge. Um, so we're going to break down how to stop guessing, how to price those quotes with confidence. And then if you need to do packages, how to create a simple package that does pay you what you deserve to be paid for doing this type of work. And I just want to add one thing that caught my attention when I spoke to this. She was a plant shop owner. Um, and guys, if you didn't catch the boot camp, go sign up for the boot camp and catch the replays because I talked about this several times. Like in the niche side of things, it doesn't always have to be the type of industry that they're in. It can be because I could definitely help you at the beginning understand like what you're providing for them. But since I know what I'm providing for my clients, my niche is more of like a worldview than it is an industry. This person found me because her husband took a screenshot of something, met me at an event, Victoria, and she's a plant shop owner. Her husband um does electrician work. And so they were like, hey, she shares our worldview. It might be worth having a conversation. That might be a good option for some of you. And that translates to you're going to focus on local, you're going to focus on moms, you're going to focus on something very specific. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, oh, no. So that was a tangent on niche. But what I want, we're talking about value today. How do you add value? She flat out asked me during the call and let me know she did not understand why bookkeepers charge so much for bookkeeping. Like, She was like, I don't understand what you're doing. Like, I'm doing all of the daily sales. I'm doing all of the, closeouts and stuff. So like, why is it so much for you to do it? And I was so glad that she asked because I got some additional pain points from her in that conversation. And it was, yeah, but like, I can't see my commissions. I don't know if I'm actually profitable because people will set up like her plant shop is also a consignment shop, is also a co-op. Like, so there's a lot of moving parts. And she's like, is it profitable in that area? A good bookkeeper is going to show you that. The financials should show you that. When we see commissions come out for the consignment side of things, we should see consignment sales and we should see consignment like payouts. She should know exactly if she's profitable. And at that point, she was like, oh, if that's what you're doing for me, this changes the whole topic. And she got really excited about getting this off her plate and getting the information she really wanted. Okay, so that's where your value comes in. Okay, so why does pricing feel so hard? I just said everyone prices so differently. Some of you guys come to us call after call. You're finally getting calls and they're not signing. What's going on? You might be thinking in that I'm charging too much. What if I charge too much? What if I'm not experienced enough, so I can't charge more? And I've literally heard this from bookkeepers. Sherry, I don't have as much experience as you. I can't charge what you charge. If you saw me, I'm questioning you. Like, I'll just start low and raise the price later. Rarely you'll do that. You're going to have this client for the next 3 to 5 years, and you're probably not going to be able to raise their price comfortably. You're probably going to get to a point where you're going to be not enjoying the work that you're doing for them and let them go is often what's going to happen. Or you're going to have to just be content with how you price them. And you might get a few price increases in there, but you're not going to take a really tiny client that might have been $500 a month and go from $200 to $800 in a year, unless they really change their business. But if their business stays the same, they're not going to understand why you're trying to change the price to that degree. And you're probably going to say, well, my business has changed and it's going to be you either come to 800 or we part ways. Okay, so here's the truth. The client does not care how long it takes you. They think it's going to take less time than you think it takes. Like, almost across the board. They care about the quality, the information that you deliver. They care that it's right for tax time. They care that it gets done. And they don't want to be the one doing it. They also probably don't have time to train someone how to do it. A couple of models that you have is hourly. And this is what I did when I first got started. Again, I had no clue what I was doing when I got started. And I think for one job, I charged as low as $15 an hour because it was like one of my first jobs and I just wanted the job. I wanted the review for Upwork. And so I did that. Then I started charging like $35 an hour and then like $55 an hour. And then I went to like $95. I had a guy who wanted to pay me to train him. I was doing $95 an hour. Now I do $150 strategy calls for clients. Hourly is great for cleanups and catch up work. So if you didn't catch our episode last week, we talked about cleanups and catch up and all of those things. Megan gave you a couple of ways that she does hourly, which I loved. Keep in mind this series of episodes all kind of relate to each other. We did that intentionally because a lot of you guys will go back and watch our episodes. So we wanted to make sure that this series was building on each other. She gave a really good insight into how to price hourly for those cleanups or catch up work in that episode. And we'll continue talking about it today. You have your flat rate monthly bookkeeping charge. This is a reoccurring package. For some of you, it's $500 a month to do basic bookkeeping. Some of you, it's $300. Some of you, it's $900, wherever you're at. These are going to be your monthly clients. Your monthly, you're going to bill them June 1st, July 1st, August 1st, etc. And you're going to be doing the same work for them. You're going to deliver reports. You're going to set an expectation, and it's going to kind of run itself. Value-based. This is where you price based on outcomes, not on time. This is for your experienced bookkeepers or niches. So this is where a lot of you will come to us and say, but I have to be doing CFO services to be value-based. You do not. And we have several podcasts on that. Many of you don't need to be a CFO or doing any sort of analytics to be value-based. Some of you guys have niches. We have an example of a student in the group who does his niche. So he has an industry niche. He serves XYZ industry every month. That's what he does. He is like the go-to in that niche. He can do value-based because he knows that not only do they need bookkeeping, you need to understand the commissions around what you're doing, just like I kind of described this plant shop needs. But because he's niched, he knows that. So going into it, it's immediately value-based because he understands the niche and what they need. Okay. And that's doing basic bookkeeping. And for him, so with that is, he does have to do some detailed reporting for those answers. So there's a little more work than just categorizing transactions. That's where the value comes in. And he can streamline it because he does it for people in the same industry all day long. Okay, so my advice is to start with value, to start with flat rate packages. They're easier to scale, they're easier to sell, and they're easier to automate. For cleanups, like if you get a client that's coming to you for monthly bookkeeping, you might have some sort of catch-up work to do or cleanup. You can either roll that into the price, but like a one-time flat rate cleanup, or you can do it hourly until it's done. And that's especially important if they're like, if you're still doing 2024 and it's 2025. Right? If it's 2025, you might just do a flat rate. Hey, to onboard you, we're going to charge you $2,000, whatever, or the flat rate back, however you want to do that. Some people will do a discount of like 50% or 60-40 of that rate and go backwards. So you have some options there. Sorry. I've not had enough water today. Anybody have those days? It's been one of those weeks, Megan.
Definitely.
Lots of talking with the boot camp.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so my advice, if you're doing packages, is to do 3 simple packages. I do mine based on like bank accounts and transactions. So I'll break that down. So a super basic way to do it would be, hey, your basic bookkeeping, 1 account up to 50 transactions and monthly reports. You could do standard, 2 to 3 accounts, up to 100 transactions. Email support. Monthly reports would be included in that, obviously. And then premium, your 3rd tier would be, I don't know that I would do unlimited accounts, like my notes say, but like, now 4 to 6 accounts up to 200 transactions, monthly reports, email support. If you wanted to throw in cash flow reporting or a quarterly call or something like that, you could scale that up as well. In every package, you're going to include transaction categorization. I don't know how you wouldn't do that. I do have clients who I've had clients in the past. Do I have any client currently? Not really. That will do like the transactions themselves. They'll go in and code them. This is often because they've experienced bookkeepers not having a system like Keeper, where it's easy to communicate what the transactions are. And so for them, it's just easier to get in and do it. I know for me, I fall into that category of, you're asking me what question? Let me just go look at it. I'll just code it like bank reconciliations and financial reports. So this would be your balance sheet, your income statement. I know some bookkeepers in their basic package don't send the balance sheet because they're like, the client doesn't understand it. I think the balance sheet is super important. So I send it. And that's where, when we talked about on the boot camp yesterday, on the day 3 replay, we have a Canva template for you guys inside of the bookkeeper blueprint that will help you understand the balance sheet and profit and loss statement, how it works together and how to analyze them, and give that information to the client so that you can confidently give them the balance sheet and profit and loss. So I give them both, but I know bookkeepers who don't. Email support. I would define this response time. Realistically, once you get to, I'm just going to say 6 figures, because that could be 10 clients, that can be 20 clients, that could be 50 clients. How much time? Like realistically, if you're having a crazy week, can you respond in 24 hours? Ideally, yes. I had an email come across my desk on Monday morning. I opened it. I started working on answering this client. The client asked me 2 questions though. And I should have just said, hey, thanks for the information. I'll get you, part 2 in a second. That's how I would have responded if I needed to respond in 24 hours. And however, I was trying to answer both questions at the same time and I kept getting interrupted. And so it took me 48 hours to get them a response. But just know that goes on. Okay, so we're going to start small. You can grow your packages as you grow. So I see nothing wrong with just doing a series of packages based on the number of bank accounts and the number of transactions. You do not need to, in this package, have a call, in that package, do this other thing. You don't need to do that. The packages can simply be the size or the volume of work that you're doing. And I think, Megan, we have you might have already dropped it in the chat. We have
I'll drop it now.
guide for you guys, and it will show different ways to do packages. And because so many of you use Canva and I use Canva, there's a Canva template in there for you to create the packages. And then you can translate that to your website if you wanted, or a brochure if you have a brochure like that. Okay, I'm going to pause because I see a couple of questions that I did not see earlier. What was the solution? For the plant shop, no class tracking. For her, the solution is simply going into her Square account and pulling that information. Now her husband's job, business, he's an electrician, he has jobs. So for that, project tracking, job tracking, would be the solution for him, and he's already paying for the QuickBooks subscription that does that. For her though, they're effectively vendors, and then it's just because we don't. You could class track. She could class track based on revenue stream. She could. That would be a solution. For her, it's not going to be a solution. Just because the subscription involved to manage that, it won't be a solution for her. And so we're better off they got rid of tags, so I would have tagged it previously. But the solution for her will be for us to organize the P&L more intentionally. Okay. Oh, the other question wasn't automatic. transcription that was happening. That's why I got a message saying, "Are you speaking English?" Okay, that's what that was. Okay.
That's
So Megan,
funny.
I was like, I've never had to click the box. So I was like, someone's doing something. There we go. Okay. So Megan posted the pricing and packaging ebook. So that is our opinion on pricing, and then some guides and our pricing calculator. All of that is inside of there. That is probably like our most value packed freebie and guide for you guys. Okay, I'm going to shut this door, and then we're going to start getting into kind of the mindset of it, Megan. It's a very sunny day, and so my kids are outside playing on, we have like a balcony porch out here and there.
They're
They're like,
enjoying it.
Yeah, what's you? If you're nervous saying your pricing out loud, you're not going to sell it. This was like the first 6 months I was in business, and I was pretty confident in what I was doing, at least. Not completely, but I knew what I wanted. I knew that I didn't want to, I wasn't going to, the $15 job thing was very one time. Like I knew that. I knew my goal with pricing that was to get the review. And I think I told him, hey, I will do it for $15 an hour. I want a review. Like, as long as you will leave me a review, I'll do it for this. Because I knew I could do it really quickly. I had gotten another inquiry. It was a cleanup job. And it was like a 2 or 3 year kind of review cleanup job. He had done it ish himself, and it was really tiny. But I also had no clue, and I knew I didn't want to charge hourly. At that point, I just wasn't charging hourly. I was trying to give fixed rates. I went to my husband and I said, hey, I think I'm going to charge XYZ. And I had no pricing calculator at this point. I hadn't figured that out yet. He's like, okay, that sounds reasonable. I think I went and took a shower, and I went back to him and said, I'm going to charge him this much. I was like, okay. And so I sent him the email or got him on the call and said, hey, it's going to be $2,800 or whatever. He accepted, signed it. And it was a great client. I did his following years for like $1,500. So he came back to me the next 2 years. Okay, so say it out loud until it feels normal. The other thing I would encourage you to do is to be quiet when you say the quote. Hey, it's going to be $350 a month. Let them think about it. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. Let them think about it. Maybe even on last week's podcast. They're thinking about where that money is going to come from or how they can afford it. If you've ever gone to do a purchase yourself, say you're sitting in the car dealership and you're trying to say, can I afford this extra $100? You're probably thinking through, oh, I could cut Hulu. I don't watch that very often. Do I really need Sam's Club? You're going to be thinking through it. So let them do that. Always tie it back to value. So yesterday I had the opportunity to understand that it was an issue with value. I was able to tie it back to value. Oh, this is what it's going to give you. It's going to help you answer that question right there. And if you want $2,000 a month, you're not going to get there by charging $100 a month. Client, you're not going to get there. Some of you want to get to 8,000, 10,000 by the end of the year, a month. You're not going to get there by quoting $100 a month. Maybe this month, maybe you need to send $100 a quote and get a yes, because it gets momentum, but you're not going to get there by staying there. Okay, you're not just doing data entry. What I am doing for the plant shop isn't just data entry. I'm giving her reports that she can use to run her business better. So that if we start getting the reports together and she realizes, oh, my commission split isn't really taking care of this. Hey, this isn't serving my co-op people well. She is now empowered, as much as I actually hate that word. She's now equipped with information to make the changes in her business to make everyone more profitable. She's got like 25 people that are depending on her. She's not just, she's not running a charity, neither are you. So I want to give her the information to equip her to make better decisions in her business. That is what good bookkeeping does. Common pricing mistakes. And if you guys have questions as we go, feel free to post those in the chat. I will watch them. Charging based on what you would pay and not your client. And this one was trippy for me when I first got started, because when I first got started, my business was doing nothing and I wasn't ready to pay for bookkeeping. So I would be giving quotes out that I also looked at myself and said, I would never pay that because my business isn't as old as yours, or I'm not doing as much revenue as yours, I can do it myself. So it took a while for me to get to the point. The way you can practice this is to not barter. For one, don't barter your services. Exchange money. If your service is worth paying for, their service is worth paying for. So house cleaners, etc. Great. I'll charge you $100. You can charge me $100. We'll flip flop. But physically exchange the money. You respect them enough to pay them. They should, respect you enough to pay them. No excuses there. Don't barter. Okay. 2, practice paying people for services. Set aside some budget to practice paying people for services. This could be to view your website. This could be to design your logo. It doesn't mean to go break the bank. Just start slowly paying people for services through your business. And start recognizing that we want to support small businesses. You want them to support you. You want to support them. And it's going to change the way you shop too for a while. If you start doing this, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I could go to Target. Or there's a cute boutique. I'm going to spend the same $30 on a dress. I'm going to go to the boutique and get the dress from her because she's a small business owner. Same $30. Maybe 40 at the boutique, 30 at Target. Probably worth the $10 to make a connection and to support a local small business. Okay. If you start doing hourly, totally fine, because that gets you going. We don't want to stay there. We want to have a method to transition. So I know Megan on the podcast last week, and she's being quiet today because she doesn't feel good. So I was just giving her permission to not have to unmute, but you're welcome to unmute, Megan. She talked about hourly for cleanups, but she still does fixed rate packages for monthly. So she doesn't stay stuck at hourly. Does that make sense? So we don't want to always be hourly. We want to have a hard cutoff for when we're going to transition to that fixed rate, or set some sort of, for us, I will charge hourly for the first 6 months of my business in general. just across the board. But at the 6-month rate, I should have gotten enough reviews, whatever. I'm going to implement my fixed rate pricing at that point, and here's what it's going to be. Okay. So that's what we mean by not staying there too long. You can always quote hourly for cleanups if you want, through the life of your business if you wanted. But we want some fixed rate. We want to make that transition. Underpricing because you feel new. How many people just said ouch to that because you're doing it because you're new? It's okay, but it's not. The value isn't in you. The value is in the service you provide. And I know Megan has said this. Megan, I'm just gonna keep sharing your stories because I love this one too. She had no clue what she was doing with her first client. Guys, I didn't either, even though I had been doing financial statements and all of those things. I knew that part. But to be my own business, providing the service myself, like I was also making it up as I went, as far as what am I going to give you? What is my deliverable? What do I need to ask for? Like, I didn't know everything to ask for. And so I would get in and be like, oh, I didn't ask for this. Are you accrual or are you cash? Like, didn't think to ask until I got in their books and was like, you're not accrual, are you? Because QuickBooks defaults to accrual. So you have to make that change. And we show you how to make that change. There's 2 places in QuickBooks to make that change, by the way. So if you've like, I made the change in settings, but I'm always having to flip on the reports, you haven't made it in the other place. Saying, let me know what you can afford. If you've already done that on your first one, great. I hope you got the client. Do not do that. We're not going to do that going forward. Let me know what you can afford. You can ask in like your discovery call questionnaire, what is their budget for bookkeeping services? And that gives you an anticipation, like, are they, if they're saying $50 a month, like, this is going to be a really quick call. Some of you guys are going to go ahead and cancel the call. I like to take the call because I want to at least have a chance to prove my value. And they might know someone later. So I always keep the call because their brother-in-law may need me later. Again, that's also very specific to my audience and where my calls are coming from. So I want to keep the call. I want to make the connection, even if they're like, I can't pay you. Okay, so we have, oh yeah, Cameron, I see your other question too, but I have no idea. I think I get that answer like, what, 80% of the time. They don't know.
Yeah, almost every single time.
It's a great way to say, okay, great. I get your tax returns anyway. No, not a big deal.
Yep.
So no big deal. Okay, so if you have not grabbed the pricing ebook, the pricing calculator, that will help you figure out what to charge. You can tweak the pricing calculator. One of the reasons I love ours is you can tweak it really easily. So if you're like, this is too high for me or too low for me, you can tweak it. It comes out in the middle of the road based on how, I think we took 20 of our like students, coaches at that point. And based on what I was charging, like we kind of met in the middle a little bit. So sometimes it's too low for me. Sometimes it's too high in weird areas and I will make a tweak. I was helping someone make a tweak to it the other day because, it adds all the bank accounts. And I do actually think you should charge for each bank account because you do have to reconcile each bank account. But sometimes a business owner will have like 12 bank accounts and you're like, are you actually using all 12? And you'll find out that like 3 of them, maybe 6 of them have 1 transaction a month and it's interest or whatever they're using it for. I don't charge for those as long as I have access and things like that. I don't charge for them. So sometimes you'll make a tweak. Okay. Let me start. Okay, I'm gonna read your question for people listening. What's your take on the package system that has all basic services? So he's in essence saying full outsourced accounting department. You're doing bookkeeping, AP, AR, etc. in their bottom tier. And the price varies by volume. And then the other two tiers just include the premium services such as KPIs, video calls. Oh, so Cameron, is that so like in the package one? That's fine. You could do that. So really that's going to be for like your website presentation. You're still going to have to think through your internal pricing on that. But I'm assuming you're in essence saying like for your website, you're going to say, hey, bookkeeping, pay KPIs, etc. That's fine, but not everyone's going to have APAR. And we presented, I think on a call that you were on, a package that did something similar. Okay, so asking for the last tax return, minimum the last tax return. I get the last three. Absolutely. I learned that after like having to always go back for it. It is now part of our onboarding. And it should be. So if you get any of our templates, it will be in there. I do the last three, but you can do, but yeah, regardless of entity type, Schedule C, S Corp, C Corp. How can I word it if all I want to do is basic bookkeeping? Bookkeeping services. And your services are going to just say how many transactions, how many bank accounts, if you want to do that. But we have clients, we have bookkeepers who only do basic bookkeeping. They don't do payroll. They don't do AR. They don't do AP. They don't do sales tax, cash flow, KPIs, anything like that. They're just doing that. So how do you word it? Let me, Megan, I'm going to pull up the pricing guide myself and show you guys what that looks like. It'll take me a second to pull it up. Does anyone have, okay, so we're gonna dive into Della's question. And I'm the worst with names. So if I got that wrong, I apologize. I can't find my own download. Okay, I'm gonna leave that be. But as far as what does it look like to do basic bookkeeping, it could be basic. I do like starter. What are they called? Light, scaling, pro, or like building off of them. So I kind of indicate like volume of like where's your business at. You can be really clever in how you word those. But as far as like, if you're looking for what to say underneath it, it's just every month we're gonna categorize your transactions. We're gonna send you monthly reports by whenever. You don't even have to commit to a date. Monthly reports. The value is something like tax ready. Reports. You could also extrapolate that, like if you're a niche. So everything I was talking about with like the plant shop or things that I was talking about, that is still basic bookkeeping. So you still have the opportunity to add value in the reports that you give, but we're not doing any of the add-ons, so leave those 100% off. Hope that helps. Okay. Any other? And what you could do is instead of having like 3 tiers on your website, you can explain, hey, here's what monthly basic bookkeeping is. Here's what you're going to get in all of our packages. They all include this. And then you can have 3 little boxes, 0 to 100 transactions, 101 to 200, 201 to 300, and then give a, check out now or book now or whatever, if you wanted. So we technically don't make tax prep pricing recommendations on this podcast just because we are focused on bookkeeping. I do prepare taxes. So you could set like a fixed price for that. Or some tax preparers will charge based on form. If I include it in the bookkeeping, I just divide that fixed rate divided by the number of months. So I have a package option that includes that. Payroll, we charge based on, so in our pricing calculator, there might be there's a spot in the pricing calculator if you do tax prep. So download that and you'll see that at the very top. Payroll, we do it, there's a base fee for payroll, and then how many people are you running payroll for and how frequently. So all of that factors in. I do not do add-on services by themselves. Like I would never just have a payroll plan. Oh no. Keep showing up to the calls because it will get better over time. And Megan, I don't know if you want to speak to like she's saying every time I attend your calls, I feel so ready and confident. And then she goes and it's like, oh no, what if?
So definitely the more you talk to potentials and stuff, the easier it's gonna get. Obviously, like the more you show up, the easier everything gets. So I would definitely continue to do that. Like you have to just keep putting yourself out there and definitely ask the what if questions and stuff. I mean, we do have our paid program where you could be on a call almost every day of the week. If you feel like that's helpful to learn more as well, but definitely show up and have conversations. That's going to make it the easiest. And like, what can you learn from every conversation that you go into? What questions are they asking? Because there may be some stuff like we can't cover everything and we don't know what everybody's going to ask every single time you get on the call,
Yep. I do feel like I don't know if you guys have ever watched kids learn to ride a bike or if you remember learning how to ride a bike yourself. Like you think you're ready and then you go to push off and you're like, no, I'm wobbling. This is not cool. And it can feel that way for sure. That is what our private coaching calls are for too. So our group calls or private coaching, that's available through that. You get a client and you're like, okay, well, I went through the onboarding. I got everything on the onboarding checklist. I have their tax return. I have everything. but really, 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 can you just show me what to do next? Like, I've been through the course, I get all of that, but I just need you to show me. The private coaching calls are great for that, because we're open books. And there is, like, some of you guys are really self-conscious of asking questions on the group calls. And so getting one-to-one with me or Megan, we can give you the, okay, now you're going to do this. And it's going to feel really basic, which is why you didn't know when I asked on the group call. But we're going to show you how to, like, we can handhold you through categorizing the transactions, even though there was a simulator, even though there was practice, even though we're telling you to do your personal bookkeeping. Sometimes you just need like an extra training wheel a little bit, until you're on your own. And that's really our intent behind the Bookkeeper Blueprint. We've had people, they're, 3 to 5 years into business, and they know the bookkeeping, but they're a part of the group, partially for the community, but partially for those what if moments. And not that they're like just hanging on to the group because what if something I don't know comes up, but they're constantly learning. So in our, Megan did a mindset call yesterday. We go through books. They're different books, but that as you go through different years, you're going to encounter different things you want to work on. You might want to increase your prices. You might want to shift how you're marketing, and you're trying to make these changes, right? So we were talking to someone this week, Megan, who is like, but why do I need, I know bookkeeping, I'm just rusty on it. Why do I need everything else? Well, the reason is to, so as you learn to ride a bike, right, you transition to a bigger bike, then you transition to a mountain bike. Now we got to learn how to use gears and not, when we pedal backwards, we're not stopping on the brake. The brakes are now handle brakes. And so your business is going to evolve, just like riding a bike is going to evolve. So it's not necessarily that you need the basic bookkeeping. We did have someone join a couple of months ago. She's been through other programs, but she still does not she will tell you she does not understand the balance sheet. And we are going back through some of her clients that she's had since the beginning, like 3 years, and she was in other programs. And we're cleaning them up, we're fixing them, we're saying, hey, going forward, let's do it like this. That way you don't run into this issue again, because no one taught her one-to-one. No one actually dove in to the material. So the course is great and all. And the course is really, really intense, but there is so much that you learn on the group calls. This week on the call I did, we dove into intercompany and do 2 accounts, the journal entries, but then why that happens and how to recognize that it's happening and what to do about it, how to reconcile it, how to make sure it's right on both, like just things, especially if you don't have an accounting degree, you might not know until you start to encounter it. And even then, like, it can get really complicated depending on how the business owners are doing it. Cynthia was on that call and she goes, yes, she loved the information. So Megan posted the link to the Bookkeeper Blueprint Fast Start. The doors are open for that. And so if you join by Friday, you can take advantage of some of those bonus deals that we have with it, with the doors being open. There is a Bootcamp 10 discount that is available until Friday. So you get 10% off of that, that program through Friday midnight or something like that. But all the information is there for you. If you have any questions, just let us know. And then some of you are hanging out with us here every Thursday, asking your questions, and you are making your money right now to join. We've talked to some of you who are in that boat. So keep showing up and signing those clients. Now is the time. I know it feels like, oh, we're out of tax season. There's no time to sign, clients aren't signing. It's been a busy week of people signing clients, Megan. So yeah, now May is a great month to sign clients. People are
Yeah, last night on the VIP call, we had everybody that was on there had new potentials or either new clients that they had. Chelsea, one of the coaches this morning, had a potential call. So it kind of reminded me that like this is around the time that I really built my business. So it is a good time to make sure that we're starting to market and put ourselves out there because it is like it all like yes, time's great, but there still are people who haven't filed their taxes, some who haven't filed their taxes for years, and some that just need 2025. So
absolutely, yeah. And so maybe you're cleaning up, which is a great time to clean up 2024. So if you're looking for some extra revenue in your business, 2024 cleanups are a great way to do that, to build up some cash reserve in your business. And then go ahead and get that. So I wouldn't just do the cleanup. I would go ahead and do the cleanup, but with like a signed monthly engagement letter. Go ahead and get both of those signed at the same time. That way you can go ahead and keep going with 2025. I like to do cleanups. We do the cleanup, but we also start 20, like as much as we're able to, we're going to go ahead and keep going with 2025 forward. So like we're going to connect all the banks and we're going to go ahead and put them in our weekly rotation of coding transactions and getting that information. We might not be able to reconcile by the end of May because we're still waiting on 2025 or 2024 reconciliations, but we can start categorizing. Likely if we had a 2024 cleanup come in right now, let's say they haven't touched it, we're going to code. You're going to see a bunch of GoDaddy transactions or monthly subscriptions. When we code that, you're going to sort by vendor. We're going to go ahead and code it through May 2025. Right. So I think last week on the cleanup, we talked about how to work through a cleanup. We're going to go ahead and code it, and then we're going to reconcile a month across the board. So go listen to that podcast if you've got a potential cleanup coming your way. And just in prep for that potential cleanup that will come your way between now and October if you're marketing. You will likely, if you're marketing, you will have a cleanup come to you between now and October. Either for 2025 or for 2024. Like that's, unless you're just not accepting cleanups. Well, yeah. Okay, any other questions before we start to wrap up today? Any questions about the Bookkeeper Blueprint? Any questions about pricing? Leo, y'all are quiet today. Y'all have a lot to consume. If you're stuck on marketing and you're here, hearing that people were getting potential calls, things this week, feel free to reach out to us. Keep coming to the podcast. We want to and feel free to do a coaching call with me or Megan on the marketing that you're doing. Let's take a look at it, because really right now, between now and October, Megan, what did I know my first goal, 12, my first goal was 1,200. I went to 3,000 a month pretty quickly. As far as like 6 months or whatever.
mine was 2,500 and I did that in 4 months.
Yep. And then I know I went from 3 to 6 figures in 4 months. So cool, yeah. So we can go to 0 to 3, give or take, wherever you're at there. Between now and October, you have the time to make that happen. Oh no, Anna. Feel free to message us. I don't know who you scheduled it with, but feel free to send us a message. I know my calendar it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it like fills up and sometimes it's same day you can book an appointment with me. Okay. I don't think it's with me. I do have openings, it looks like next week.
Gina, yeah, you can buy calls even if you're not in the program yet. Just set us up, just go to the link, you purchase an individual one-to-one, and then you can schedule with us from there. Anna, if just you can message us. Like if you need something in the evenings, I don't open my evenings unless y'all message me. I'm poking in my cup.
Yeah, I think she's on with me for an evening. But yeah, she's gonna message us. Absolutely, Gina. Let's get to marketing. Let's make marketing work. Some of you guys are marketing, and I'm not saying this is you, Gina, but like some of you guys are marketing and you're feeling like you're working 40 hours a week right now. And you're like, I'm not even doing any bookkeeping, or very little bookkeeping. Let's make it more efficient. Sometimes it's a really good opportunity to see what works for you. So if you are feeling like I'm attending all of these calls, I'm working, 20 hours a week, I'm just marketing. Sometimes it's just a season, and it's a really good season to get the freight train running. Me and Megan adopted like an analogy many years ago when we first started. Marketing is like putting coal into like a steam engine, a train. It takes a lot of energy and work to get the train moving, just from a scientific standpoint. Once it's moving, all we have to do is feed the coal. We just have to keep it going. And that momentum is going to keep going. It's going to keep building, which is why some of you, the worst thing you can do is you're getting potential calls. And then you're like, I'm swamped with work. And so you stop marketing. Worst thing you can do, because that's that's slowing down this freight train that you're going to have to build back up again. I saw that in my business. I did the same thing. And I knew that I would have to do XYZ to get it started again. And so it was just easier to keep it going. Let's talk about that, Anna. Sometimes we need to not add bookkeepers as friends on Facebook.
Yeah, I definitely saw, like, you can see if that, like, you want to be friends with people that you're interacting with in the groups and stuff like that. But once that's like the algorithm sees that that's who you're interacting with, that's who they start showing more of. So you want to make sure that you're getting in front of business owners, and I'm not saying don't interact with those people's stuff, but make sure that you're interacting with business owner stuff and trying to get in front of more of them than just other bookkeepers for sure.
Yeah. That will happen to any bookkeeper. So you're not alone in that, Anna. Even before me and Megan were doing any sort of coaching, we were getting messages. Just because and you'll get messages, hey, someone knows that you went through the Bookkeeper Blueprint. Someone knows you were on this webinar. And so you'll get messages like that. Oh, these are people I know that decided to start a business and are coming for advice. Paid strategy calls, even if they're $47 for a 30-minute call, that would be a way to handle that and make it worth your time. The other thing you can do is, if you want those conversations, start answering those questions. So you get the question in Facebook, great. You're going to go answer it on YouTube, email, whatever. You're going to go schedule that email. You're going to go back to the messenger and said, hey, that's such a great question. I decided to make it into an email. Make sure you're on my email list here. I answer this question in my next email, my next email that's coming out Friday. make it work for you. And then use that to build your email list, because they are one day probably going to have a business. And it's good questions to start building your email list with and serving your audience that way. You can also go live and answer that question so that you're not just interacting with them on Facebook. We do want to interact with them in Messenger. But yeah, we can talk about that. Cool. So, and I do see you on my calendar. On a nighttime call. So, yeah, and it looks like I mean, I had some, mine look like they're getting, it's like 3 or 4 days in advance. People are scheduling out ahead. I did have a potential call, guys. Last tip before we get off. Be careful blocking down your calendar when it comes to the calendar that your potential clients have access to. And what I mean by that is, if you can accept same day appointments, like calls from potentials, accept same day appointments. The call I got yesterday was booked yesterday, like, and maybe 30 minutes before the call, because I didn't even get an email. I went to go sit down at my desk and I was like receiving this notification, "You're late for a call." And I'm like, what? So obviously we, like, normally I would have been at my desk anyway, which is how my calendar is set up for when I'm at my desk. But I didn't know I had anything, because when I checked my calendar that morning, I didn't have anything. And so I was just running late to go check email. Actually, no, I wasn't really late checking my email. I was responding to an email and didn't check my calendar when I sat down and realized that I was getting this notification of like, "Hey, you're late for a call." And I'm like, "But I've been here." And she did not care. She was really gracious. And I wasn't that late. It was just a couple of minutes late, which is like my norm anyway. If you schedule a call with me, I'm always like 3 minutes late because I'm getting off of a call or something. But consider being available to answer the call, to accept it quickly, to onboard them quickly, especially when you're first getting started, or if you're trying to, get clients moving. If you can accept same day. I just wanted to throw that out there, especially right now going into October. During tax season, you do not have to, you have my permission to not accept same day calls. You might get some clients though if you do, but you have my permission to not go crazy. That's all I meant by that. Okay, because I know in Calendly, like, it will let you like 24 hours in advance, or whatever. Maybe do 2 hours in advance, maybe do an hour in advance. Up to you, depending on how often you check your phone, how often you're going to see those notifications. Just make sure you get a notification. I don't want to be scheduled like 5 minutes before the call, because I'm probably not ready for a call 5 minutes before the call. I need a little more leeway than that. Okay, there was my last hot tip. I hope these podcasts are helpful on these random tips sometimes, but I will see you guys next Thursday. I know we know the topic for next Thursday, so let me share that with you. I thought I knew the topic for next Thursday. I don't know the topic for next Thursday. Just kidding. We're continuing the series, so I guess that works.
I have it. Your legal
cool.
setup without start your bookkeeping right. Your bookkeeping business right.
So we're just going to review. A lot of you guys have already set up your business. We're going to review that and then give you guys some resources if you're like, I'm starting as a sole prop, but you might want to, what you might need to do to transition from that at some point in time. Okay, well, we will see you guys next week. Or inside the Bookkeeper Blueprint. The next call happens Tuesdays?
Yeah, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
So if you join Friday by midnight, you'll have an invitation to an onboarding call on Monday, though. So make sure you have everything you need. You'll get a call with us to ask any questions, any bookkeeping questions, any marketing questions, on Monday as well. So, okay, cool. You don't have to do it on Monday. It's just available to you on Monday. It can be later, as early as Monday is what I mean there. Okay. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.